two best friends, same court. One of them has to lose. And here's what nobody's telling you. The last time these two played, it wasn't even close. But something happened in the weeks that followed that changed everything. Something that has nothing to do with tennis and everything to do with it at the same time. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to see this match in a way that nobody else is framing it. And once you do, you cannot unsee it. Let's rewind to Paris. 2 weeks ago. Roland Garros. The red clay that has swallowed careers whole and spat out legends. Alexandra Eala walks onto that court knowing exactly who is on the other side of the net. Not just an opponent, her friend, her former doubles partner, the person she's laughed with in locker rooms and celebrated with at dinner tables. And then the match starts, and Iva Jovic dismantles her. 6-4, 6-2, clinical, almost cold. 34. Winners. 6 of 9 break points converted. Eala managed 15 winners the entire match. 15. Jovic won 70% of her first serve points, while Eala won just 30% of her second serve points. The numbers are not just bad, they're the kind of numbers that make a player question everything. What's interesting, though, is what happened after. Jovic posts on Instagram, "One of those days I wish there could be 2 winners." Eala replies, "No one I'd rather share the court with." And at face value, that's beautiful, right? 2 friends keeping their bond intact. But look closer. Because those words reveal something much deeper about who Alexandra Eala actually is, and what she was already planning. Because here's what you have to understand about Eala. She had already entered Birmingham before Roland Garros even started. Read that again slowly. Before the French Open began, before the draw was made, before she knew she'd face Jovic, she had already committed to Birmingham. She was prepared for an early exit. That is not pessimism. That is ice-cold strategic clarity. That is a player and a coaching team who looked at the calendar, identified the opportunity, and built a plan around maximizing what came next, regardless of what happened in Paris. The moment that first-round loss was confirmed, there was no spiral, no recovery period, no processing time. She got on a plane and went to work. And what happened in Birmingham? That is where this story truly begins. Birmingham, grass, the Lexus Open. Eala arrives not as a headline, not as a favorite, but as a player with something to prove and a score to settle with herself. She moves through the draw with a quiet intensity that people around the tournament start to notice. And then comes the final. Nicola Bartunkova. 2 hours and 37 minutes. A war. Eala drops the first set 5-7, and in that moment, for anyone watching who didn't know better, it looks like Paris all over again. It looks like a player carrying the weight of a loss that hasn't fully healed yet. But then something shifts. She takes the second set 6-3, and then the third 7-5. When the last point lands and Eala raises her arms, she doesn't just look relieved, she looks like someone who just finished building something. 6 consecutive grass court victories, a title, 125 ranking points, up from 37 in the world to 33. And then, 2 days later, she walks straight into the HSBC Championships at Queen's Club and beats Zhang Shuai 6-3, 6-2 without dropping a set. Like she never stopped. Like Birmingham was just the warm-up. Now pause for a second and think about what that actually means psychologically. She lost to Jovic on clay. She went to grass. She won 6 straight. She did not slow down. She did not take a break. She did not give herself permission to be tired. She is playing the best tennis of her life, on the surface that suits her best, in the city where Wimbledon lives, and the very next opponent on the other side of the net is the exact same person who beat her 2 weeks ago. If you wrote this as fiction, someone would tell you it's too neat, too perfectly constructed. But this is real. This is Wednesday. This is Queen's Club. So who exactly is Iva Jovic? And why is this match so much harder than Eala's form suggests it should be? Because here's where the story gets genuinely complicated. Jovic is 17 years old, 17, and she is ranked 17th in the world. 1 year ago, she was ranked 157. Think about that climb for a moment. This time last year, she was playing challenger events and trying to crack the top 100. Now, she's the 6th seed at a WTA 500 in London, and she's being talked about in the same breath as the greatest young talents the sport has ever produced. She won her first WTA title in Guadalajara, becoming the youngest champion on the women's tour since Coco Gauff won Parma in 2021. At the 2026 Australian Open, she became the youngest American woman to reach a Grand Slam quarterfinal since Venus Williams, back in 1998. Born in Torrance, California, to a Serbian father and a Croatian mother, European blood, American upbringing, a forehand that analysts describe as her primary weapon. And her favorite surface? Grass. Her favorite surface is grass. On the same day, Eala is riding the greatest hot streak of her career on grass. She runs straight into the one player on Saudi Tour for whom grass is home. And this is where a specific number stops the conversation cold. Jovic's career win rate on grass is 88.9%. 11 wins, 1 loss, across her entire career, 88.9. Her clay win rate is 65.8. Her hard court win rate is 70. Grass is not just her best surface. It is a completely different player. It is almost like grass unlocks something in her game that clay and hard court simply cannot access. And here's the part that Eala's coaching team has been staring at for days. Jovic has won 11 of her last 14 matches against left-handed opponents. 11 of 14, and Alexandra Eala is left-handed. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern, a tactical fingerprint. Jovic has figured something out about playing left-handers, whether it's how she angles her serve into the body on the deuce side, how she constructs her forehand patterns to exploit the ad-court geometry, or something more subtle about her movement and court positioning. She has cracked a code that most players haven't. And now she has to use it against someone who is 6 for 6 on the same surface. But here's the thing about grass that changes everything. And this is the tactical truth that most surface-level previews are missing. The clay match in Paris? Irrelevant. Not because the result doesn't matter emotionally, but because the sport being played on grass at Queen's Club is almost a different game entirely. On clay, Jovic could generate the heavy topspin that sat up in Eala's strike zone and gave her all the time she needed to construct points. On grass, the ball stays low, the bounce is skidding and unpredictable, and the rally lengths collapse. A 4-shot rally on clay becomes a 2-shot rally on grass. That changes everything about who controls the point. Eala's first strike tennis, the aggressive returns, the flat winners down the line, the serve +1 patterns she's been executing all week in Birmingham, becomes exponentially more effective on this surface. The slower, heavier game that worked so well for Jovic on clay suddenly requires recalibration, and Jovic hasn't played a match here yet. Eala has already beaten Zhang Shuai on this exact court. She knows the bounce, she knows the speed. She owns that stadium right now in a way that Jovic simply doesn't yet. And then there's the revenge factor. People underestimate this in professional sport because athletes are trained to say the right things publicly, to talk about respecting opponents, focusing on their own game, taking it one point at a time. But the human element never disappears. It just goes underground. It becomes fuel. Eala smiled after Paris. She liked Jovic's post. She was gracious and warm, and exactly what you'd expect from someone with her character. But she also went to Birmingham and won 6 matches in a row without dropping a set in the final 2. She didn't grieve the loss. She weaponized it. And now she is walking back into a match against the same opponent with 6 grass wins, a title, and the kind of quiet confidence that only comes from earning something hard. Not given. Not lucky. Earned point by point for 2.5 hours in the Birmingham sun. That version of Eala, focused, hungry, technically sharp, emotionally resolved, as is genuinely one of the most dangerous versions of any player on tour right now. Let me take you back even further for a second, because understanding who Eala is requires understanding where she came from. Her breakthrough 2025 season, the one that announced her to the world, included back-to-back wins over Madison Keys, who was world number 5, and Iga Swiatek, who was world number 2. Back-to-back, as a wild card, at a WTA 1000 in Miami. She wasn't supposed to be there, she wasn't seeded, she wasn't projected to win, and she went out and beat 2 of the best players on the planet in consecutive matches. That's not a hot day at the office, that is a statement about who she is under pressure. That is a player who rises when the stakes get bigger. And the stakes on Wednesday? They don't get much bigger for a player at her level. A win over a top 20 seed, on grass in London, 2 weeks before Wimbledon. That's the kind of result that reshapes rankings, changes seedings, and writes the first paragraph of a legacy. What about Jovic's side of this equation? What does she need from Wednesday? Everything. Because Jovic's trajectory has been so steep, so fast, that the pressure she's carrying, even unconsciously, is immense. When you rise from 157 to 17 in 12 months, the expectations recalibrate around you whether you want them to or not. She said it herself before this tournament. Last year's grass court season was a special one for me. I won my first WTA 125 title on grass at Ilkley, broke into the top 100, and then qualified for my first Wimbledon main draw. I really enjoy playing on grass, and I can't wait to be back this year. There's a joy in those words, but there's also context. Last year, Queen's Club was a beginning for her. This year, it needs to be something more. And the first real test of whether this is a player who can sustain elite-level performance or a player who rode a once-in-a-career wave. It's Eala. Right now, on grass, in London, under the lights. Here's what makes this match so impossibly difficult to call, and why it's the one match above all others on this week's slate that you simply cannot miss. You have one player with all the form, 6 wins, a title, a dominant run that shows no signs of stopping. And you have another player with all the structural advantages, superior ranking, better head-to-head, an 89% win rate on this surface, and a proven pattern of success against left-handers. Every metric that's based on history points to Jovic. Every metric that's based on the present points to Eala. And here is the cruel, beautiful truth about sport. Both of those things matter, and neither one is enough on its own to tell you what happens. 6 games, 2 weeks apart, same 2 players, completely different surfaces. One match where Jovic was untouchable, one where Eala has been the most in-form player in the draw, and on Wednesday at Queen's Club, with Wimbledon 3 weeks away and everything on the line, these 2 friends who cannot stop complimenting each other publicly are going to walk back onto a court and try to end each other's day. That contrast, the warmth off the court, the ferocity on it, is what makes this rivalry something you feel rather than just watch. When Jovic hit that last winner in Paris, Eala walked to the net and hugged her. Genuinely. There was no performance in it. And when Eala wins her next match, she'll do the same. But between the first point and the last, there will be no friendship. There will only be the ball, the grass, the crowd, and 2 20-something players discovering exactly who they are. That's not just a tennis match. That's Wednesday. That's Queen's Club. That's the match the 2026 grass court season will be remembered for, and it hasn't even started yet.